Well, it's the end of 4th of July holiday. We're moving into a summer, a long, hot summer, probably. And I can't think of a better conversation to have today than with Art Alexakis, the front man for 30 plus years of the band Everclear. 93, when I graduated high school, is when I became familiar with you and your
Really?
group. Yeah. And I've been a fan ever since. So thanks for your time. Life has come full circle. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks, man. So you were a fan of you heard World of Noise when you were a kid?
Yeah, yeah. So I remember growing up, there was certain music that was just popular for the time, and your group and part of the other groups, you're part of other bands too, or you did other music. But if I remember correctly, you had said in previous interviews, Everclear was like meant to be your last band, right? That was kind of the idea.
Yeah,
And you were going to go out and write other music or maybe work for a record label.
or both. Yeah, both. That was the idea. Yeah, I was 30 years old, and back then it's a little different than it is today, but pretty much the same. It's like coming up, if you were 30, that was ancient in rock bands, right? That was ancient. And which is very ageist and discriminatory, but it is what it is. So I was 30 and I just moved to Portland with my girlfriend and who was pregnant with our first baby, well, our only baby, but she was pregnant. And I knew that I was only going to be able to do one more band. I was going to do it in Portland. And if it didn't work, I'd probably end up moving to LA and back to LA because I grew up in LA, and getting work at a label and writing songs with people and just letting that whole dream of being the guy in the band go and be a guy behind the scenes. And lo and behold, I Everclear with tenacity and just diligence and just a lot of work and just not listening to what other people said about us. We got signed in '94 and had our first album released in '95, and it went platinum and haven't looked back since.
That is an incredible story. And I really do mean that because the industry that you're a part of, well, I think arts in general are just so different than I think what most people would be familiar with. But there's acting and there's comedy, but then there's the music industry. You said something interesting, about the ageism, which I would like to talk about that. And the reason is because I had Dee Snider on, I don't know, a while back, and he
He's
had said
great.
something. Yeah, he was fantastic. That was
He's
one of the
great.
most interesting
Love D.
interviews. It was the wildest ride of my entire life. And such an iconic conversation like this one. But he said something interesting too about when he was getting started and how the industry has changed. So I would like to ask your opinion about that because it is so different with the age of social media and the way people are quote unquote getting discovered now. If you had it to do all over again and you started now, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because it's so different now because the way that you went about it then, I feel like today is so different. Like people are almost plucked out of obscurity in a way and launched into stardom without really having any of the experience that you guys have had
and then
grinding.
for and then forgotten 8 months later.
Yeah, that well, you can't forget that part. That's the part
Yeah,
people leave out is they get forgotten very quickly.
yeah. I mean, yeah. If oh no, I would. It would be. I don't know what I would be doing if it happened today because I would have lived through the last 30, 40 years. So I don't think that's a really fair question, to be honest with you.
Sure.
Um, I just all I can tell you is me. I am a life coach that works with creatives only, with
Okay,
people
yes.
who work in the creative industry, not people who consider themselves creatives, people who actually are out there doing it at any level. And one of the things when I talk to younger bands, man, I'm just like, I would not sign a major label deal today. I
Okay.
wouldn't because they want 30% of everything. It used to be 10%, or they want 30% of your publishing or whatever forever in perpetuity. And you're already giving them a record that they're advancing you money interest free, but they own forever, and they give you less than 10% of it in profits forever. It's just like, would you do a business deal? That's almost like those stupid deals that people do on the Shark Tank. I'm listening to them going, man, don't do that deal. Don't do that deal. I can't even watch that show because it's so stupid. It's just like, don't do that deal with those people. They're going to rape you. They want you to produce stuff in China, not in America. Make it in America. Make less money, a little less money, and don't be greedy, but you're putting money into your community. That's having the long view, you know? And the same thing with music. I'm like, have the long view. Take the indie deal. And these days, you don't need record distribution because no one sells records really. But vinyl, do a separate deal. I would have like, I got a band of mine, their manager had a young manager. I'm like, do a separate deal for your record, for electronic and for that kind of stuff and publicity and stuff. Do a publicity deal with these people over here that do online stuff, and then do a separate vinyl deal. And now you've got 3 entities working to make that a success because they get paid a little bit up front, but they're getting paid on the back end. So they all have incentive to work on it, right? As a team. And so there's different ways to go about it today that I think are good. But if you go through the front door through a major label or put something out on Spotify, you're screwed.
I love it. And that was really, that's a great answer.
They would hate me for saying it, but do I care?
Not at this point. No.
No, never. Actually, never. When I signed to Capitol, I had seen friends of mine sign to major labels and get screwed over. And it's funny when we one label, I forget what label it was, made an offer, and then back then everybody was interested in watching you, and you sent them that offer, and then they would fax back. We got 32 faxes from different labels saying, we'll give you this much money, and this is a hard offer. We had 32 offers.
Wow.
And I went back to him, and I pissed off my manager at the time, who was kind of a jerk in the long run anyway. But I'm like, okay, I want this much money. I want this many firm records. I'll give you one option. I want tour support. I want this. I want that. And all the labels, my management's like, they're all into it. They think this is great. I go, oh yeah, last thing. I have total creative control, and I produce my own records. And 2/3 of those labels gone. Not interested. Pass. Not interested. Pass. And there was 7 or 8 labels left, 4 in LA, 3 in New York. They're like, okay, what else you got? And those are who we dealt with. And out of that, I picked Capitol.
And you literally wrote your own ticket. So I want to ask you.
Kind of. I mean, I didn't get the percentage I wanted, but I negotiated that if we hit increments, like if this first record sells 200,000, we'll get this much. If it sells 500,000, we'll get full mechanicals on our publishing. We'll, this kind of stuff. All that stuff is negotiable. And it's on the back end. Most labels are like, yeah, that's a good problem to have because we're talking about a successful record. Wow. So you just got to be smart about it and learn from other people and watch what other people do.
Well, what a great resource you are to other artists today, because you've seen how the industry has changed. And of course, it's fair to say you don't know what you would do differently, because it's hard to say, because what you did is what you did and it worked out well, but you can help other people negotiate these shaky waters of the music industry.
I'm laughing because I'm thinking, like I might have said, I don't know, maybe I would have went in and been a male model. Who's gonna buy that?
That's
people
funny.
Are like, nope. No, I mean, I don't know what I would have done today if I was as driven, Brett. I'm sorry, Brett.
That's okay.
I just spoke to someone named Brian. You're my 4th interview today. I apologize.
That's okay. Your art. You're good.
No, but and plus I'm looking at Brett right behind you.
Okay.
uh, but I don't know, I was just
Oh,
forget.
that's great. I mean, it's worked out quite well. So you have a very busy summer planned, and I want to talk about what's coming up. You're on the cusp or just celebrated 30 years with the band.
Yeah.
What does the summer look like now that we're open and everything's going back to normal or is back to normal pretty much? Do you have a full schedule set for touring? What's the plan?
We've had a full schedule since 2021. We were one of the first bands to go back out. Um, so actually last year was our 30th anniversary and we recorded an album. The very last show of the year was at the Whiskey A Go Go on December 4th of last year, and we recorded it and videotaped it. And we've turned it into a live album. It's going to be a double live album on vinyl,
Wow.
and it's coming out um, in September 8th. It's getting released. It's called Live at the Whiskey A Go Go. And our tour starts on September 6th, 2 days before. So the album comes out September 8th. The tour starts September 6th in Lexington, Kentucky and it's 30 dates. And it's with the Ataris
Wow.
and a band called the Pink Spiders out of Nashville. And they're a great band. So yeah, it's gonna be a great fall. And between now and then, I think we have almost 20 shows, flyaway shows on the weekend. And I'm starting to work with a guy. I'm writing a memoir, and he's not writing it. He's just helping me edit it and put it into, you know, like paragraphs and stuff. I'm writing it, like recording it, and then I'm putting it into order on the computer, and then I send it to him, and so he's acting like an editor really. And then I've got a guy, an agent who is pretty excited about it, and he's an editor as well. So between the three of us, we're just getting into the first three chapters. But it's really happening. That's
Wow.
exciting.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Well, I want to ask this question, and I asked the same of Dee and also Dave Navarro. We had him on for his dual diagnosis. I want to ask you, when you started out in the industry, and Dee was very quick to jump in and correct my thinking. He set out to be a rock star. He wanted to be famous. He wanted all of those things. He wanted to travel the world. So I asked this question of you differently. Was that the goal for you when you started in the business, or was it just about the music? And then if the fame and the fortune came later, like how did you start out with your journey as a musician? Like what was this, or was it you just wanted to play music and then whatever happened, happened?
I didn't want to be a rock star. I didn't want to be rich. I wanted to be wealthy enough that I didn't have to worry about bills. See, I think D is coming from a different place. I think he's coming from a more middle class place. I'm not sure because I don't know his story. I've met him a couple of
Yeah, no,
times,
that's a pretty accurate description.
and
Yeah.
he's fun. I think he's from Long Island, right? Like
Yes. Yeah.
middle class Long Island, working class, blue collar. I grew up poor. I grew up in a housing project. So, on relief, the whole 9 yards. Um, so for me, the level up is to own a house, white picket fence, family, dog. That is what I always aspired to. But I wanted to play guitar in a rock and roll band to do it. And I say that I didn't want to be famous, but do I like the attention? Absolutely. I wish I could turn it on and off at times,
Sure.
but do I like being known? Do I like being looked at? Yes. Anyone who goes on stage and says they don't is lying. And I just, I didn't want to be, even though my heroes were rock stars like Joe Perry and especially Jimmy Page, singers weren't like that. I didn't want to be a singer. That came later. I just got tired of dealing with singers who couldn't play an instrument. That's why I became a singer. I wanted to play guitar. That's all I ever wanted to do. And yeah, I never, I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to see things. I wanted to get out of this shitty existence that was my life living in the projects or living in shitty apartments when we moved out of the project. Yeah, I had a single mom, didn't get child support. Times were rough, but that's all I knew. And I got a guitar when I was 14 from a pawn shop, and it was like gold to me. You know, it was like gold to me. Unfortunately, another thing that was like gold in a bad way was from the time I was 4 years old. I remember my mom giving me a sip of beer. That's what people did in the 60s. You gave your kids beer. You know?
Yes.
Oh, they're sick. Here, put a little brandy in there. Give them a little brandy.
And their pacifier. This put
People are
in.
crazy,
Yeah,
insane. And yeah, and it always tasted like candy to me, alcohol, drugs,
sure.
because I was born with the gene. I never felt comfortable in my own skin ever, unless I was drunk, buzzed, drunk, or on drugs. And thank God I lived through all that. My brother died of an overdose. I overdosed many times, ended up in the emergency a couple of times and been defibrillated and the whole 9 yards. And thank God I lived through that, and being a blackout drunk for 6 years after I got off drugs. And thank God I got sober. I met someone that took me to 5 meetings in one day, and I got sober, and I've been sober ever since.
Yeah, that
Thank God
is
for that.
incredible. And I think inspiring to some of our listeners and viewers too, because I mean, it just shows you what life looks like on the other side. Well, one last question. I know you have a very busy day. When you go out on tour and you play these shows, no matter how big or small, there's like, I'm certain, an audience expectation of songs that people want to hear every night. Do you think
Always.
about what would
Nope.
happen if you didn't play some of those songs, or do you just do it?
No, I get things thrown at me. I would get beat
You would
up.
get tortured.
I get beat up. No, I have very little patience with bands that do not play, and that's me being nice. It really pisses me off when bands don't play their hit songs.
Yeah.
That's those hit songs that if you wrote them or someone else wrote them, but they're yours and you get to play them, that is a privilege.
Yeah.
That's a privilege. You should have nothing but gratitude to play those songs and to the people, because you wouldn't be there. I wouldn't be having this interview with you if I hadn't written those songs.
Yeah.
My whole life would be different. I wouldn't have the life that I have, and I love my life. There's aspects I don't like. I don't like having multiple sclerosis. That kind of sucks, but is what it is. But when you weigh that and other things with my health, with what I have in my life, the gratitude's way up here, and the resentments are way down here. So
Yeah.
I
Wow.
I think, and my hit songs have been my best friends. They've been the best friends I've ever had. And I get very impatient with bands that don't play the
Yeah.
songs
I would be
because
the
it doesn't
same.
seem cool. Because it doesn't seem
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have bands like Kiss, like that's all they play.
Well, that's
And have it written in
well,
news. And that's okay though. I mean, but it's fun. Or they do the residencies in Vegas where that's where they play just 2 hours. But I think people expect it and they love it. And I think that's great. I love that answer. It'd be like, some of these other groups going out and not playing songs that they're known for, like the Michael W. Smith and the Friends. It's like if you go to a show and you're paying $120, it's like, that's cool. And I love it. You at least know you would get
well,
mobbed if you did it. That's funny.
for my shows, you're not going to pay $120. We're ticket prices for our shows this fall are anywhere between $35 and $45. You can pay more for VIP and, like better access and stuff like that. But a ticket to get in the gig is somewhere between $30 and $40. And that's what it should be. Should you be able to pay more if you want more value? Sure. Why not? I think that's great. And I love that we do VIPs and we sell them out and people pay $200. And some people I remember these kids were going to, when my daughter was younger, we're going to Justin Bieber for a VIP meet and greet. True story. This is true story. They had about 300 or 400 girls in this huge room, and there was 4 of these in a row. They like would push them out, put another 400 in, and there was a life-size cutout of Justin Bieber, and they're playing Justin Bieber over the sound system, and there was a life-size cutout the girls could take a picture with, and at the very end of it, in one corner, there was a little red rope, and Justin would come out and blow kisses and wave at the girls, and they'd scream and go away. $3,000 I had.
That's insane.
For $200 or $150 or whatever it is, $200, you get a t-shirt, you get a bag, you get other stuff inside the bag. I forget exactly what it is, but you get one-on-one with us. All of us go up and meet you and talk to you. You want to take selfies, want me to sign stuff, I'll sign anything but breasts, cats, and babies. I won't sign those things.
In that order.
Well, no. Babies first. I will not sign a baby. Or the cat that someone shaved a little part of them, wanted me to sign it. They were going to tattoo that cat. I know it. They said they weren't, but they lied.
Yeah, they're you can see right through that.
Nah, I see right through it. But seriously, all joking aside, we're going to give you, and then we come out, we play acoustic, play a couple songs for you, and people keep doing it every year because they feel like there's value to it.
Yes.
I'm like anybody else. I've got a budget. I've got to live under a certain, we're doing really well and I'm putting money away and we live a good lifestyle, but I've got bills to pay and I want value for what I get, and as does everybody else. So we tried to be cognizant of that. And I think, and it's been a great side hustle for us as far as income stream. And that's the way bands got to think. Your merch, your VIP experiences, all that stuff. You got to think like that because there's no more major level money. There's no album sales. No one buys albums. No one buys albums. You don't get paid from Spotify. If anyone says they do, there's a line. Black is the New Black, which was our last full record we put out in 2015, I think, came out, and we did a thing with Spotify where they put the record out there, and over 2.7 million people downloaded the whole record, listened to the whole record, streamed the whole record in 1 week. Know how much money I made from that?
Not much.
Yeah, $624.
That's like a car payment, maybe.
Not for me, brother.
Not for me either. I'm just saying, like, it's not much money. That's
not my car payment. It sure as hell is not my wife's car payment. So no. I live in LA. This is car culture. We drive pretty cool cars. No, it's what it is. You said it's a car payment. It's an insult.
It's ridiculous
to anybody that you put work into something, and that's what you don't. They're not negotiating with you. Hey, if you give us your record, 200 people, 2 million people will hear it. Almost 3 million people will hear it. But and we're gonna make money off it. We're gonna make 50, 60 grand off it. You're gonna get paid $600. So what do you want? You want to do that deal? Who's gonna do that deal?
Nobody. Everyone's if they're smart.
No. So that goes back to your first question about labels and stuff. And the new labels today are Spotify and Pandora and stuff like that act like they're going to pay you. At least with Apple Music, they pay you. They pay. It's not 100%, but it's not an insult. It's fair.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time. I know you have a very busy day. If you're ever in the Denver area, I will be there. I don't know what your schedule looks like. Well, what's your website where people can get tour dates?
You're asking the wrong dude, guy. I got our website is everclearmusic.online.com. So you can go there and get tour dates for sure. But my social media stuff, we've got over a
Just
million people
Google
on
your
social
name,
media.
Google his name. You'll come,
Yeah.
it'll come up and you'll see it.
Google Everclear band, not alcohol. And
Yes.
there's plenty of ways to get in touch with us. And if we're coming to your show, to your town, and you're coming to a show, you want to hear a certain song that's not a hit, that's off the beaten track, go to social media, go to our Twitter, go to our Instagram or our Facebook, and we will for sure play it if you ask for it.
Awesome. Art, it's been an honor. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank
See ya.
you. See ya.